Good morning, everybody, or I guess it's good afternoon on the East Coast. If somebody could ping me on chat and let me know they can hear me, that would be most helpful. My name is Ann Mitchell, and we are going to talk today about how to up your genealogy game. So I'm going to give you some pointers to places where you can get education and improve your knowledge of genealogy. If I sound a little hoarse today, that's because I was up yelling late last night, cheering on my Oakland Athletics. That was a heck of a baseball game if you're a baseball fan. And if you're a Tigers fan, guess I'm not really that sorry. But back to genealogy. So, a lot of you I know have gotten started in this. And regardless of where you are in your genealogy path, shall we say, you come to a point where you're like, you know, if I knew a little bit more, I could probably do this a lot better. All right, so I'm going to give you some pointers today on how to do that. So how do you up your genealogy game? Oh, and before I go too much further, at the very end of this presentation, I will give you a link to the PDF of this presentation, and it will also be online. So you know, if you don't get all the URLs written down, don't worry about that. You'll have a chance to go back and do that later. All right, so how do you up your genealogy game? You read and you learn. It's pretty simple. Well, okay, it's not that simple because you have to learn it. One of my favorite certified genealogists is Alyssa Scalise Powell, and the URL for her site is here. And she's very, very dedicated to educating people about how to do genealogy and how to do family history. She's a lovely woman. And one of the things she said, and I just think this is a great quote, I'm a perpetual student because the world is a limitless place. You can never know all the things there are to know, but you can always increase your knowledge. And genealogy is really the same way. Now on Ancestry, I'm going to start here for obvious reasons. On Ancestry, we have some places where you can go where you can learn some stuff. Ancestry.com Learning Center. If anywhere on the site, you'll see up there, there's a Learning Center tab. If you click on it, it'll give you the front page. You can also go over here and type in any topic you can think of, and it'll show you what we have on that topic. Hopefully most of you have looked there. As you know, we do these live stream presentations. We get a really good attendance at these things, and people do go back and reread them. I do a few. We know Krista Cowan, our ever wonderful barefoot genealogist, does the bulk of them, and so does Juliana Smith, chimes in occasionally too. And from what we gather, you guys are getting a lot out of these, which is very gratifying. If you go to the Facebook page on events, see where this red arrow is right here? There's that little bitty link that says past events. That will also give you a good listing of all our past events so that you can go through and you can go, oh, I didn't know they talked about German genealogy. Let me go look and see what they had to say. So that's a good way to go back and figure out things. Most of these presentations run anywhere between 15 and 30 minutes, so it's not too much of a time commitment. All right, the rest of these are all off the Ancestry.com site. None of these sites are officially endorsed by Ancestry.com, though we do have relationships with some of them. But this is just things that I have used over time to increase my genealogy knowledge, so I wanted to share them with you. Family Tree University. And again, on each of these, I'll give you a screenshot and the URL so you can go check these out yourself. They have great articles. They have courses that you have to pay for. A lot of this you have to pay for. But, you know, prices can vary anywhere from $20, $30 to, I'm going to show you one course that costs $3,000. So it's the wide gamut of things. But the Family Tree University has a lot of webinars, and they have a lot of articles that will give you an idea of how to do things. NGS, which is the National Genealogical Society, is a wonderful place to gather information. And this particular one that I'm pointing to here, though they have others, is their home study course. And last I checked, it was $300 for members. I suggest that if you're serious about genealogy and family history and learning more, that you try out a one-year subscription to the NGS. There's a lot of their past magazines there with great articles. And you might find that you learn quite a bit from that. So, and then you will get discounts on all their courses. They have PDF courses and online courses. But this one, this home study course, is really very interesting because it will lead you through different types of records, not just on Ancestry, but across the board, and where you might find them and what you might do with them once you get them. What is also great is it will give you exercises to do. And then once you do them, you submit them and somebody will review them and give you feedback. And getting feedback is a great learning tool. So it's, like I said, I think it's about $300. But what's great is it's a home study course. You do it at your own time. You can do one module and then wait 2 months and then do 3 more in a month and wait. So there's no time limit on this. So it's a really, really self-paced kind of thing. And it's very educational, and it will really give you a good sense of the types of records that are out there. And when you're trying to do family history, there are 2 things that you want to learn. There are 2 things that you want to get better at. What are the records that are available to me that will give me clues as to who my family was? And how do I know when I'm right? You know, how that whole thing about how do I prove things. So that's one thing you want to think about. But this, of course, I recommend. Boston University has 2 excellent online courses. One is an introductory class for people who are pretty much just getting started. I think that also one runs about $300, and you can sign up online. It's reasonably intensive. You do homework and you submit it and you get graded. It's just like being in college again. There's no background requirements for that one. They also have a more advanced one that I have taken. It was $3,000. It was definitely pricey, but definitely worth every penny. You have some of the best names in genealogy who are presenting information. And when you get out of there, your brain will feel totally fried, but you will feel like you've learned a whole lot. That particular class is best suited for people who've been doing this for a while. But again, both of these are really good options. Another really good place where you can take small chunky classes would be the National Institute for Genealogical Studies. And what's great about these are not little classes, but they're very specific classes about very specific topics. They range from types of records to, here's how you handle land and deeds. And here's how you can do German genealogy. And then there's whole programs around American genealogy or UK genealogy that you can take. Most of the classes are about $79, I think, a piece. So that's usually fairly doable. And, you submit assignments, you get feedback, and, they're over a certain amount of weeks, and they can be really, really useful. This, if you're they have classes for people who are just getting started, and they have classes for people that are looking for a focus on a certain type of record or a certain area. So I think this can be really useful, and it's a pretty good price point if you want to go just, get your feet wet and see how you feel about doing, ongoing education. A lot of times genealogical societies will put on programs, and they vary depending on where you're at. If you're looking to find your local genealogy society, what I would suggest is you go to the Federation of Genealogical Societies, clever name considering what they are. And on this particular page, if you scroll down here, it will give you a list of all the different genealogical societies. You can then go look them up and see if they've got courses or if they're doing presentations and events that you might find useful. You might also meet people in your area, and it's always nice to have friends that are working on the same thing, because as we all know, most of our relatives not that interested in what we do. You might also do Google searches for your area and historical societies, and they also put on events and have educational material that would be useful for you. Genealogy conferences. I'm going to run you through the 4 majors that are held every year, but there are also local ones. So you might, do a Google search on genealogy conferences in maybe your state and see what's there. Roots Tech 2013 is in Salt Lake City. It's in Salt Lake City every year. This year it starts on March 19th, and there's the link if you want to go check it out. This one is an interesting combination of classes for techie people as well as non-technical people. Another benefit of this one is it's held in Salt Lake City. in the conference center that is pretty much right across the street from the Family History Library. And if you've never been there, oh my gosh, what an amazing place. Millions and millions of rolls of microfilm, lots and lots of books. Believe me, you could get lost in there for a month and never want to leave. So that is one to check out. Of course, you know, the big expense for a lot of people is not the cost of the conference so much as it is traveling there. But, you know, sometimes you just got to treat yourself, don't you? All right. This one, you might be able to convince a spouse or a friend to come with you because it's in Vegas. You can send them off to do whatever it is they want to do in Vegas, and you can go to the Genealogy Conference. So this is NGS 2013, and this starts May 17th. It's in Las Vegas, and the link is here. There are tons of great speakers at NGS, some of the best known names in the business, and you will learn a ton if you go to these different classes. So I always go to NGS, really love it. It's a lot of fun. Plus there are a lot of vendors there. You know, we're there, Fold 3's there. A lot of the vendors that are there, a lot of booksellers. You know, you'll just meet people and it'll be fun. FGS is in Fort Wayne, Indiana on August 20th. And you may be like, why would anyone hold a conference in Fort Wayne, Indiana? Well, Fort Wayne, Indiana is home of the Allen County Public Library, which is the third largest genealogy library in the country. Who would have thought? I was just there a couple weeks ago. It is an amazing place. Tons of books, tons of microfilm. It is just awesome. So if you live in the Midwest area and you're in driving distance, you really need to go in August. And it's also something worth considering even if you don't. If you are in the Southern California area, this conference has grown and it is absolutely fabulous. SoCal Jamboree 2013 starts June 7th. It's in Burbank, of all places. I guess I didn't put a place on there. Tons of great classes, tons of great speakers, some of the best known names, like I said, in the business, lots and lots of vendors. And, you know, it's just a fun place. You can also tie it in with a vacation to your favorite Southern California, you know, tourist spots. So, but if you get a chance to go to one of these conferences or one of the smaller ones, you'll learn something. You know, listening to people who've done this a long time talk about what they do, or hearing someone who represents, you know, one of the major sites like Ancestry, Family Search, whatever, you're going to learn something. You're going to get better at what you do. All right, there are tons of genealogy blogs and sites out there. One of my favorite, because understanding the law and how it impacts genealogy is huge. Understanding what women can inherit. Understanding what happens when somebody dies without a will. One of my favorite blogs to read, and every time she posts an article I learn something new, is The Legal Genealogist by Judy Russell. She's great. You know, if you're going to only have one blog you follow this one. You will learn something all the time. She talks a lot about DNA. She talks about, you know, how law affects things, just interesting things. This particular one up here, this article that I think she put it out today, was Cruel and Unusual Punishment. And it just talked about how things have changed on what we consider cruel and unusual. She talks a little bit about the UK and about early America. You will learn a ton from her. I guarantee it. Elizabeth Shown Mills is probably one of the best names in genealogy. She now has a site, and it's not so much a blog as it is a site, and it is called Historic Pathways. But there's tons of great reference articles and examples out there. I can recommend it highly. There are thousands and thousands of genealogy blogs. If you go to genealogybloggers.com, you'll find Thomas McEntee's blog himself, and he's a great genealogist, and he does a lot to promote getting information out there. And he has a list of all sorts of genealogy bloggers, and you can, you know, sort of sort them by location and what they talk about. And you might find some new friends, and you might also find some new information. Blogging is a great way to do what they call cousin bait. If you blog about what you're researching, you never know who might be searching that's also related to you and contact you. We've had questions that have come in through ask@ancestry.com about how do I get certified. Certification is not an easy thing to attain. I think there's less than 300 certified genealogists in the country. Could be wrong on that number. But if you're interested in doing this and you want to know what it means, I suggest you go to BCG certification. The URL is bcgcertification.org, and you'll see this very fallish looking colored site here. And if you click right here on educational preparation, it'll bring up a really, really long page, but they will list also a lot of formal educational opportunities. Some of them I've mentioned here. Some of them are different, academic programs, independent study courses, institutes. But a lot of these are, things that you may want to check out. There's also a lot of information on what certification is and how, are you ready for it? It's not, I'm currently, it's what they call on the clock. You have a year to do 7 different things, and I'm in the process of trying to earn my CG. That's a lot of work. There's a lot of books out there. I'm going to give you 3 here. There are tons, but these 3 run the gamut from beginner to more advanced. Okay, this first one has a really horrible name, but it's actually a really, really good introductory book. The Complete Idiot's Guide to Genealogy. If you can get past the name, you will find it's a really good beginning book on all the things that you might want to know and step by step on how you might get started. You can read a chapter and learn something. If you're looking for all the different types of records out there, now Greenwoods, The Researcher's Guide to American Genealogy, the 3rd edition is out. It's not a cheap book. It's probably about $50. It's really thick, but it is a great overview of different types of records. If you're looking for military records, it'll tell you about a lot of things that you might not have thought about, or immigration records. A lot of genealogy is just finding that one clue in that one record that makes everything fall into place. I was talking to Juliana Smith 2 days ago, and she just found a Civil War pension for one of her lines, and she just broke through this brick wall. And sometimes it's just finding that right record, and this will give you new places to look. It's not that you don't know what you're doing, it's just that you haven't found that right record yet, and that's what genealogy is all about. For those of you who maybe want to take this up even to the next level, Professional Genealogy, a manual for researchers, writers, editors, and librarians. And Anne does not have that space in there like that, does it? Which is edited by Elizabeth Shone Mills. Every chapter is edited and compiled by a different person who understands quite a bit about what they're talking about. You might want to check that out. I would imagine all 3 of these books are available in your local library. Go to your local library and check out their genealogy section. You will find all sorts of good books, but I highly recommend these 3. It's giving you a different idea of different levels of different levels of genealogy. The Idiot's Guide, I hate that word, but it is a great beginning book. The Researcher's Guide is great for discussing record types, and Professional Genealogy is a great, more advanced book on things that you might do as a professional genealogist. I'm watching the chat as I'm talking here. See, I can multitask. Pretty impressive with the lack of coffee I've had today. And somebody mentioned Family Search also has great online resources. I forgot to put them in this presentation, but that is absolutely true. They have really great videos, and just like we do, that will help you figure out what it is you're doing. The more that you read, the more things you will know. But the more that you learn, the more places you'll go. I just like quotes that rhyme. Dr. Seuss is very, very right, though. Or Theodore Eisel, I believe, is his real name. You have to read. You have to learn. Pick it up in chunks. Pick it up in little bites. Get a book, read a chapter. Say, how can I use this to find out something else? This is a quest. You're trying to figure out where that next piece of information is that's going to lead you to breaking through that brick wall. Ancestry has a lot of stuff, right? But we don't have everything. And the more you read and the more you learn, the better you're going to get at this. And that's what we're all about. Where you can find this in PDF form, I have a link to it on my blog. And I'll go back to this in a minute. I'm going to get rid of this page for 1 second, but I'll leave it on this so y'all can copy this down. But just wanted to do an update. Coming up, Ancestry.com events. As you know, I think I gave you the URL for this before, but if you look on our events on our Facebook page, Krista is going to do, our Barefoot Genealogist is going to do a event on searching for death records, alternatives to death certificates. She'll also be doing a tweet chat. We have a really, for Halloween, I guess, a really sort of death-related set of events here. Family history clues and death records. And then on the 25th of October, I'm going to talk about family secrets that can be uncovered in cemeteries. We will talk about things you should look at when you go to a cemetery, how gravestones are laid out. I'm also going to talk about gravestones themselves and symbols that you might find on a tombstone and what they might mean. You know, things changed over time, but people leave little clues behind. So that one, I'm actually looking forward to it. It's a little bit different than what I usually do, and it should be fun. All right, so let me leave this up here for a second. And this is the PDF form of this. I know it's just an overview, but it will give you all these URLs are worth checking out. And you can, and when we post this on our Facebook page, I would also suggest, if you know of other places that you love to go to learn about genealogy, then go ahead and post them in the comments. Someone's asked me if I can post this link to the PDF on Facebook. Yes, I will do that as well. As soon as they get this posted up, the presentation posted up there, I'd be happy to. I can also put it in the comments of the live stream. But keep learning. Even if you just pick up one new blog, even if you just pick up one new chapter out of one book, and check out your public library. You don't have to buy these books. Check them out and read them first, and then figure out if you want to own them. But the more you learn about genealogy, every little bit of knowledge is going to make you that much better. It's going to make you ask better questions, and it's going to lead you to find those answers that you're after and break down those brick walls. It's been great talking to you. I love talking about education. I will be back with you on October 25th for the cemetery talk, which should be just a lot of fun. And I will see you then. Good luck with your searches. Thanks.